Bandwidth for First Updates Now is supported by YouthRobotics.tv. Catch the latest robotics events and shows on their Roku app or by going to their website at YouthRobotics.tv. This is First Updates Now Recap, episode 1607, recorded on March 29th, 2016. Recap is brought to you by AndyMark. Are you competition ready? Count on AndyMark to be your source to stock up on batteries, boulders, components, and more at AndyMark.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at firstupdatesnow.com/audible. It's time for Recap. We're here to discuss the latest on what's going on in FIRST Robotics. I'm Tyler Olds.
I'm Mike Stark.
I'm Justin Montoys.
And week 4 is in the books, and whoa, buddy, do we have some great events to detail for you. But before we get to the recap, let's introduce our guest for this evening. JT Novak is in his 15th year in FIRST and has been part of it since, well, he was 5. After graduating from Team 16, the Bomb Squad, he's currently a student at MIT and still active in supporting the team. Well, welcome to the show, JT.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on the show, JT. So, as Tyler just kind of said, you've been in FIRST since you were 5 years old. So, can you kind of maybe talk about what growing up in FIRST has been for you and what really FIRST means to your family?
Oh, you just asked for my life story there. So my first event was back in 2001, actually, and it was a Lego League competition locally in town. It was an Arkansas State Championship for FIRST Lego League. And that event was really exciting. You know, as any 5-year-old would probably see a bunch of Lego robots moving around, and excitement ensued, especially in the early 2000s. And after that, my next event was at Disney World in Epcot, and again, you know, kind of catches the eye of a 5-year-old pretty well. And so ever since then, I've been addicted to going to all the competitions, all the as I see them, Bomb Squad competitions, and that's just been my entire life. I've always left school for the second half of a bunch of weeks to go travel around the country with my family and my team, and it's been an exciting adventure.
Very cool.
So the Bomb Squad, obviously a perennial powerhouse year after year, but this year team made one of the best drives I've ever seen in FIRST, the combo of the swerve and the mini tank drive. So could you talk a little bit maybe about the design process and the decision making that went into that amazing drivetrain?
Sure. I was privileged this year to still be able to be there for 3.5 weeks of the build season, and that was mainly the design phase. And I remember early on in the design, we were really skeptical about how the swerve drive would work this year. And I've noticed a lot of other teams who usually do swerve aren't doing that based on that decision. And after we thought about it for a long time of swerve versus tank drive versus some other thing, we thought about, you know, why don't we just have both? And so
why not?
So
There was a little bit of, like 2:30 in the morning? Yeah. Hey, guys, what if we...
It was actually surprisingly early. I think it was, you know,
all right,
6 or 7 p.m. And so we did a few of the students put together a prototype based on our previous drivetrain, and the prototype seemed to work really well. And so we adjusted it for our new wheel modules this year that are about half the weight. Get that advertising in, and it actually works surprisingly well. So we put it on the practice robot and on the competition robot, and that was the team doing that, and everything just fell into place.
So do you have a name for that drive, by the way? Is there a special name for a tank swerve separate?
So we named it, I'm going to give a little disclaimer here. We named it this back in week 3, and so it is an original name, but another team posted their robot with a similar drivetrain name,
we don't care
so
about
we
them.
didn't end up using it. Called it Swank Drive. There was another team, I can't remember their number, who posted on Chief Delphi a little bit earlier.
Is that Mars Wars 4143?
No, I think they called theirs Twerv or something.
That's right.
It was the opposite of Swank Drive.
Somebody in chat room will get it, I'm sure.
And I'm glad the names were opposite, because it's actually the opposite idea from ours too, where they put tank treads on their swerve. We put a tank drive outside the swerve.
Which makes you guys better, right?
It's up for you guys. It's up for you guys.
All right, we'll be checking in a bit more with JT, but let's start out with a recap from week 4. We do have 20 events to cover today. And Justin, starting out with you, what event are you going to tell us about?
So this past weekend in Rochester, 49 teams competed at the Finger Lakes Regional. Somebody would argue the best regional in New York State, and certainly Mike and I were able to be there. And from our experience, at least in the past 12 years, it was probably the most competitive Finger Lakes Regional we've seen. And if you take a minute to look at the stats behind the event, there were tower captures like 25% of the matches. So that's really actually pretty high as far as the average goes for most events. So after 82 qualification matches, Team 5254, 5 Poofs, Hype seeded first and selected 2791 Shaker Robotics, as well as 2383 to join them in the elimination matches. This alliance, however, shocked us in the quarterfinals with a score of 194 and an impressive 50-point autonomous. That wasn't enough, however, as they were defeated in the semifinals by the eventual regional winners, Team 20, Team 639, and Team 1405.
You done? Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to Iowa. The 53-team regional took place in Cedar Falls this past weekend. Saw some fierce competition, but it was 51-72, who were finalists at Northern Lights earlier this year, who took the #1 seed. They finished 10-0 with a 33 ranking score. They selected the second-place team and former top 25 team, 525 Swart Dogs, as well as 1208 Metool Brigade. This alliance would face the #2 alliance, captained by 1775 Tiger Bites, who won GKC earlier this year. 2 matches was all it took for the Red Alliance in 51-72. 525 and 1208 took home the win, scoring as high as 187 in finals match 2. Congrats on the Kling Bling to 525 on their regional chairman's award. Double gold for them.
So moving on to the Indiana districts, we're going to check in at Perry Meridian this week. The last Indiana district, by the way, 3 in a row. Sure to be a close race as teams battled for the way to district championships. You know, as you get that close, those teams are just wanting that even so more. Out of 33 teams, though, guess what? The legendary 71, Beatty Hammond's back, baby, claiming the #1 seed and took the tall scoring powerhouse of 1501 Team Thrust and 829 Digital Goats. #1 Lions faced little resistance until the finals, where they met up with a familiar face of, get this, the entire winning alliance of Tippecanoe banded together again in 1024 kilobytes, 1747 Harrison Boiler Box, and 45 Techno Cats. I wonder if that's happened in district play before. I think it's might have happened in regional play. But the finals were intense, as the first match went to the #2 Blue Alliance, 175-75, and 829 was incapacitated, forcing the #1 Alliance to call in a backup team, 60-12. Finals match 2 saw the #1 Alliance make a big comeback with a 167-130 win. And finals match 3, oh man, what a whirlwind this was. 1024 seemed to have connection issues, completely disconnected from the match with 45 seconds left. And at the end, it looked like it was going to be all about the Red Alliance, but at the conclusion of the match, dead silence rose over the entire arena as a red card was called against 1501 for damage against 1024. Congrats to the #2 winning alliance for winning their second district together, and congrats to Red Alert 1741 for the district chairman's award. But Nick, if we can take a look at this red card call, just a few seconds that are for this. It is just the quietest thing I've ever heard in first. So Nick, can you throw that up for us? No. Oh, you lost it. That's all right. We'll move on. We'll show it a little bit later. I had it in the drive, Nick.
This is like you feel like you're in like the sports world, because
you
you can't hear
Nick,
but Nick is talking to us.
Yeah, it was in Google Drive, Nick. That's all right. But just literally it was, they announced the winner to the event, and it was silent. Like, nobody cheered. It was the craziest thing to ever hear.
Oh my gosh.
And just the end of it, you heard like a few like, yay, like, you know, I kind of want to cheer for my alliance, but
yeah,
not really. And I mean, it's a tough call for everybody, right? In a very awkward situation everybody put into it. But wow, yeah, that was a crazy thing. But we'll talk a little bit more about you know, the red cards and the bumper heights related to that. But let's move on to Justin with the New England districts.
All right, so I'm going to start in the Rhode Island event in New England. And after 12 qualification matches, the Rhode Island event, Team 190, another team, kind of a blast from the past, regaining, having a bit of a resurgence. Team 190, Gampe and the Herd took the #1 seed. They wasted a little time going down to the #7 ranked team, 125, and also selected 5846, the South Coast Corsairs. It's kind of a cool name, to create a formidable playoff alliance. This alliance played very well, advancing all the way to the finals, and in those last matches took on the #2 alliance of 228 Gus, 1058 the PVC Pirates, and rookie team 6153. We actually haven't talked a lot about rookies making it very deep in the playoffs this year. The first match went to the number 1 alliance, and the number 2 alliance took the second match. In the decisive third match, I'm not really sure what had happened. There wasn't any match video, but the number 1 alliance was unable to breach or capture the tower, while the number 2 alliance was able to breach and capture and win the event in doing so. So congrats to them, as well as a Kling Bling to 125 on their district chairman's award.
JT just had
What?
the neutrons.
Oh. All right. And UNH wasn't as exciting as Rhode Island. Short and sweet here. 40 teams took the field at UNH this past weekend. And after quals was over, Team 319, a team we've talked about quite a bit on the top 25 and recap so far, is Big Bad Bob, took the number 1 spot. The alliance was built to win as they advanced all the way to the finals and easily defeating the number 2 alliance of 2370, 1153, and 95. It was a great set of matches for all teams, as well as another congrats to 166 Chop Shop on their district chairman's award.
All right, moving over to the Chesapeake District. So the inaugural Chesapeake District Series continued this past weekend in Accident, Maryland, while 39 teams played 12 matches in their quest for the number 1 seed. It was area well-known team who took first place, 836, the Robobees, who went 11-0-1 with the 39 ranking score. That's 3.25 ranking points per match. They would select third-ranked team 1629 Gecko and 3941 A's, absolutely zero electricity. This alliance would beat the 8th seed and the 5th seed on the way to the finals to face the 2 seed of 1137, 686, and 4067 in the finals. With scores of 146 and 149, the number 1 alliance sealed the win. Get this, they had double Kling Bling at this event. 1629 with the double gold by winning the district chairman's award, and 836 with the gold silver by winning the EI. That's the first time I think I've heard that happening, the double gold. So awesome job to those teams involved. Over to Central Virginia, the second of 2 events that took place in this district this past weekend was in Doswell, Virginia, which hosted 38 teams, but it was 30-year team 5279 Bionic Eagles who took the number 1 seed, going 10-2 with a 35 ranking score. They would select teams 1086 Blue Cheese and 3359 Rural Robotics. Beating the 8 and 5 alliances, which seems to be a theme this year, or at least I've said that quite a few times, the number 1 alliance would face the number 2 alliance in the finals. The number 2 alliance consisted of teams 122, 401, and 2914. Consistent play as it comes, the number 1 alliance won the regional or the district event in 2 matches with scores of 160 and 159. Congrats to them, as well as 384 Sparky on their district chairman's award.
Moving on to Colorado, featuring 48 teams from around the Midwest, West, and, well, even a team from Florida. Standout team 1619 Upper Creek Robotics secured the number 1 seed by a tiebreaker. It would move on to pick the number 4 seed 1011 Crush in 4550 Something's Brewin'. Best name ever. Number 1 Alliance completely blasted through the competition to face the number 3 Alliance of 3288, 4499, and 1339. Number 3 Alliance faced difficulties, and the number 1 Alliance completely dominated with scores of 162 to 118 and 183 to 76. Big win for the number 1 alliance, and a nice Kling Bling going to 44.99 Highlanders for their Chairman's Award and finalist performance in Colorado.
All right, moving over to Oklahoma. They broke the 60-team barrier and saw 61 teams compete this past weekend. Leading the way after 9 matches, it was defending Oklahoma Regional Champions, 1806 SWAT. They were looking to improve on their finalist appearance at the GKC Regional earlier this year. They would finish 9-0 with a 29 ranking score, scoring over 3 ranking points per match. They would select 4587 Jersey Voltage and 5098 Stinger. This alliance would meet the number 2 alliance of 3507 Robotics, 4522 Team Scream, and 1448 Parsons Vikings in the finals. Winning match 1 by 69 points and match 2 by 72 points. The number 1 alliance took the win pretty mightily, you could say. Congrats to 1806, 4587, and 5098. And congrats to 2341 Sprockets on their Regional Chairman's Award. From Oklahoma to the North Bay, the infamous Canadian Regionals lay host to some amazing competition, and this weekend was no different. Leading the way was 1241 Theory 6, coming off a finalist appearance at the GTR East earlier this season. A side note, as you mentioned in weeks past, they're still looking for their first ever regional win. They would finish first, going 12-0 with the 42 ranking score, which is absolutely crazy. So like 66% of their matches, or maybe even be a little higher than that, or about 50% or lower, they scored 4 ranking points. They just absolutely killed it. They would select second place, 1310 Runnymede Robotics and In 29-35, NACL Robotics had joined their alliance. Obviously, making it all the way to the finals, they would face the number 7 alliance of 5807, Canbotics, 1325, Inverse Paradox. In 45-19, Kings McCavaliers, with scores of 167 and 163. The number 1 alliance took the win, giving 1241-36 their first ever regional win. Woohoo! Great job, guys, and they took home the Chairman's Award. So what a great, phenomenal weekend for them. Congratulations.
Yeah, Kling Bling and stuff too, huh?
Oh,
Jeez.
my gosh, yeah. We'll definitely talk a little more about them later. But
It was 1241's first win ever?
yeah, because remember when watching East, Karthik was saying they've been world champions and haven't won a regional yet.
Yeah.
Really?
First ever regional win, yeah.
Very well deserved for
Crazy.
12.1 though, and
Yeah.
way overdue.
Long time in process, yeah.
That's
Isn't that crazy?
insane. Wow. All right, so I'll take a quick break from regionals and talk a little bit about the Pacific Northwest District and specifically the Philomath event, where Team 1983 Skunkworks looked to defend their blue banner at this event from last year. After 12 qualification matches, it was 13-18 IRS, who took the top spot and picked that defending champion 1983, as well as 24-11 Rebel Alliance and headed into the playoffs. Things were going very well for the number 1 alliance until the finals, where they had to face the number 3 alliance of 2046 Bare Metal, 5803 Apex Robotics, and 2811 Stormbots. It was back and forth struggle in the finals as both alliances took one match. In the Go for Gold match, however, both alliances played strong, but in the dying seconds, 1983 came into contact with an opposing robot, and the full scale was awarded and give the number 3 alliance the win. So how about poor Bare Metal getting their robot stolen?
Oh, I know.
How horrible is that? I feel like it's not the first time I've ever heard of.
No, there were a couple of, I think there's been a couple other times where the trailer has been stolen as well too, and just the whole thing is gone. And I think for this one, I believe they recovered the trailer, but obviously the robot being gone is awful, and everything else that they had. Yeah, absolutely.
So one more quick shout out and congratulations to Team 1510, who took home the District Chairman's Award at the Philomath event.
And just shout out too for that team. I'm not sure there's a Kickstarter or something going on, but I know there's an awareness campaign for that, I think, to help support that team. So I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but go support it. So. All right, we got 4 FIM events to talk about this week, starting with Lansing, featuring a full 40 teams looking to secure the district championship appearance. Over half the regional was comprised of teams over the number 5,000, and many looked to the veterans of team number 68 that took the number 1 spot. But it was another veteran in 1684 Chimeras who would secure the top spot and they would move on to pick the number 2 ranked team of 2612 and 1504. Number 1 Alliance fell into trouble quickly, losing both matches to the number 8 Alliance. And if we move on over to the other side, it was really the number 2 Alliance of 3357 Comets, 2959 Robotarians, and 5502 who looked dominant and glided through the finals against the number 3 seed of 5460, 2611, and 5238. After 3 tough matches, the number 2 Alliance would take the win with a 142-125 victory. Huge special congrats, though, to team number 68 Trucktown Thunder for getting their District Chairman's Award, moving them into the District Championships. Livonia would be next, which is probably the most stacked FIM event this week. Livonia brought teams together like 27, 314, 503, 548, and 1023. It was a team who already had 2 events under their belt in 1023 Bedford Express, who took the number 1 spot and selected Hall of Fame Team 27, Team Rush, and 5907 CC Shambots. The event was no contest for the number 1 Alliance as Bedford finally held together for the Alliance in the entire event and dominated the number 2 Alliance of 50-50, 1250, and 50-66 with scores of 172-104 and 135-105. District Chairman's Award would go to team number 548 Robostangs. And I certainly... And then 1023 has just got to be, finally wiping their brow a bit after 2 events of breaking down in the finals or right before the finals. To finally make it through and finally get the robot robust enough. Big win for them.
Yep, we were certainly happy to see them take the win.
Mm-hmm.
So rolling on to another Power Pack FIM event in Marysville with teams 217, 2137, 2851, and 3534. It was Torque who would secure the number 1 seed, ranking with 35 ranking points, and choose the number 5 ranked team in 217 Thunder Chickens and Rookies 5860. It was smooth sailing for the number 1 Alliance until they reached the finals to face a number 2 seed of 5155 Bearcats, 3534 House of Cards, and 5926 Moobotics. In a very close finals, the Blue Alliance would squeak out the win with a score of 155-152. After 58-60 for the Red Alliance, failed to reach the batter and capture in that match. Finals 2 is neck and neck again, but this time the Blue Alliance was finally able to get their double climb going, and the Red Alliance failed to capture with one strength left on the Blue Alliance tower. With a score of 166 to 124, the Blue Alliance took the event and took the gold. Kling Bling would go to the number 1 Alliance Captain duo of 21-37 for their District Chairman's Award and finalist appearance. All right, the last event for FIM this week is going to be at the Grand Valley State University. The West Michigan event featured notable 74, 85, 107, 1918, and 2054. It was long-term veteran 85 Bob, who had already won a district earlier, that would take the number 1 seed and select 2054 and 4956. With a sputter in the semis, the number 1 seed limped into the finals to face a number 2 seed of 3546 Bucking Gears, 107 Team Robotics, and 5610 Sauga Tech Robotics. Here the number 2 seed breezed through the quarters and the semis and completely just pounded the number 1 Alliance into submission with scores of 170 to 120 and 173 to 107. Congratulations to the number 2 Alliance, and a huge congrats to Bob 85, who also got the Kling Bling in FIM this week with their District Chairman's Award and Finalist Award. Moving on to Sacramento.
Good job, Tower Man. That was
one long breath, by the way. I didn't breathe well.
All right. So after previewing this event last week, I was looking forward to recapping Sacramento and seeing how my bold predictions panned out. Turns out my predictions were off, of course. I said 1678 would seed first, but instead it was 971 Spartan Robotics who would take the top spot after 8 matches. They would select 1678, however, who seeded fourth, and add 5274 Wolverines to complete their Stronghold Alliance. This alliance was perhaps the most dominating of the Stronghold season so far. They did not score below 155 in any of their playoff matches and won as high as 205 in semifinal match 1. After easily advancing to the finals, they would face the number 2 alliance of 1323, Madtown Robotics, 1671, the Buchanan Bird Brains, and 604, Quicksilver. However, the number 1 alliance proved again just too tough and were able to win the regional in 2 matches. Congrats to them, as well as another shout out to 604, Quicksilver, as they added another impressive Regional Chairman's Award to, I believe, is their number 9 for them overall, and a little Kling Bling to go along with it.
All right. There
you saw this your 9th Chairman's Award?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
9th Regional Chairman's Award.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Cool. All right. Moving over to Dallas. You just talked about being wrong, and I was proven wrong on my fairly obvious prediction. This is why we don't do it, right? Because anybody can sit here and say, like, this team's going to do well, this team's going to do well, this team's going to, and you just like, it's just, you're just,
I think it's
that's what makes it more fun, though.
It's fun.
That's
right.
fine.
Exactly.
That's why we never do it, because
It's like the top 25, right? It's for fun.
That's right.
But it's still serious.
I was wrong on, again, my fairly obvious prediction from last week. The number 1 seeded Dallas Regional, who I think I predicted 148, went to 28-48, the All Sparks. The All Sparks, they went 10-1 with a 33 ranking score, which was 3 per match. They would go on to select previously mentioned Team 148, the Robo Wranglers, as well as 50-57 Robo Busters. This All-Texan Alliance cruised through quarters and semis, putting up scores of 150, 184, 197, and 161. They would face the number 6 Alliance in the finals, which were 54-17, 34-78, 54-31, and 37-35. There's a backup bot in there. The number 1 Alliance's groove continued in the finals and with scores of 185 and 154 won the regional. Congrats to them, as well as Adrienne Emerson on her well-deserved Woody Flowers Finalist Award and 1296 Full Metal Jackets on their Chairman's Award. Did you see Adrienne tonight?
I did.
Awesome.
I did.
Well deserved. Tyler, on to Wisconsin.
On the Wisconsin, as you say. So the Wisconsin Regional saw a different crowd this year with 53 teams reaching all the way from New York, the California, and, well, even 4 teams from Turkey showing up. All eyes would be on the defending champs and last year's world finalist 2826 Wave Robotics to see if they could continue where they left off from last year. But Wave Robotics struggled out of the gate, and out of the ashes rose 1259 Paradigm Shift, who would go on to take the number 1 seed and select 3418 and 5148. In a very interesting alliance selection with some declines from joining the number 3 seed, very few teams actually would pick within the top 8. Number 8 Alliance of 1306, 2826, and 2194 would go on to defeat the number 1 Alliance in the best of 3 in quarters and face the number 5 Alliance of 706, 5903, and 537, would also push it to 3 matches, and after a tie in the second match that went to the number 5 Alliance in a close call in the final match, the number 5 Alliance would advance onto the finals and play the number 2 Alliance of 3102 Techno Tigers, 2202 Beast Robotics, and 5855 Blue Collar Bruisers. Number 2 Alliance continued their great success through the quarters and the semifinal matches, and would handily defeat the number 5 Alliance with scores of 154-99 and 116-117. I had an opportunity to catch up with the number 2 Alliance captain of 3102 and their drive team member Sam to talk about their regional victory. Let's take a look.
Let's do it.
Maybe.
3102, winners of the Wisconsin Regional. Sam, this is your guys' first ever regional win, is that correct? How does it feel to win this event today?
It feels absolutely incredible. You know, we've been the underdogs for a very long time, and it's very hard to, get here, and we finally have. We've taken some rookie teams with us. It feels amazing, and everyone's very, very happy, and it's a great day.
Well, let's talk about that. You selected a rookie team as one of your alliance partners, right? And sometimes in regards to rookie teams, there's a lot of unforeseen things with that. What gave you such confidence to select that team?
Well, we have a very solid scout team, and they, the data has implied that they were doing very well in what we needed from them. We had strategy from Duluth Regional, and it said we needed a defensive bot and 2 offensive. We picked based on what we had, and it went very, very well. And we worked very well together.
Well, congratulations! You got championships coming up soon. Any improvements or upgrades you're going to think about for your robot?
Possibly, we may do a lifter, some sort of shooter. We have both of those mechanisms taken off right now. The world's the limit, I guess. So we're going to work for it, and we're going to do the best that we can.
Well, it's a limit up to 30 pounds, though, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
30 pounds, right?
Well, congratulations to you, and we'll see you at St. Louis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So congratulations to the number 2 Alliance for the and to the Kling Bling of 537 Chargers with their Chairman's Award and finalist performance. All I have to say on behalf of my team, Minneapolis North Star, we are fired up and ready to go. Expect us to recover quickly. We're coming back in full force, baby.
There you go. All right, over to Rocket City. I'll make this kind of quick and sweet just because JT's here with us, and he'll probably fill us in way better than I ever could. So you should definitely have been kept an eye on this regional last weekend with teams such as 16, 118, 179, 624, 79, 1902, and others were there. Is definitely very exciting to say the least. It would be the Baxter Bomb Squad, Team 16, that would take the number 1 seed, putting up 36 ranking points through 10 matches. They eked out the number 1 seed by only 1 ranking point from 118, the Robonauts. So it was definitely an exciting set of qualification matches. And those teams would team up for the eliminations, adding in 3490 Viper Drive. This alliance would face the number 3 alliance in the finals of 4188, 364, and 801. The number 1 alliance in the playoffs never scored below 187 and as high as 209. Absolutely incredible. I'm sure we'll talk more about a few of these teams later. But congrats to 16, 118, and 3490 on the win. And congrats to 1902 Exploding Bacon on the Regional Chairman's Award.
Oink, oink, boom.
Yeah, that's it. Can you fill us in more on 16's run, maybe more about the regional in general? Kind of just, were you there at the regional, or were you just watching from afar?
Yeah, I was there at the regional. I was also there at Arkansas, and our performance at this regional was definitely a lot better than it was at Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And there we also got the number 1 seed. And 118, being paired with them was phenomenal. They have a really good. They've got a great scouting team and great strategy, and they're just really nice to be around. And we knew from the get-go after picking them that it was the right way to go. And I'm really glad also that we picked our 3rd robot, 3490. We were looking for them for a while, and they were one of the few that we picked out for defensive robots that would have worked really well. And so as a whole, everything went great. Everything went perfectly. We've got a little bit of improvements to do to make on our shooter, but other than that, the robot's working just as well as we'd ever expect it to be.
That's fantastic. Did you happen to take a look a little bit at 118's robot? Do you know how the grappling hook fires, or can you talk at all about that?
So embarrassingly, I didn't look in enough whenever the grappling hook was there. I looked at it before they attached it. So I'll leave speculation out, but I can probably ask around and figure some things out and give a little bit more information later if it's requested.
Worst case,
it is. Tell us by the end of the show.
Yeah, everyone can go in and look at it at the championship. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody will. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to finish off our recaps this week with the Ventura Regional and looking to bounce back from my missed predictions from Sacramento. I did mention that 330 and 696 teaming up. Although it was 330 who was seed first, the further teams I mentioned would play a part in deciding this event. So Field Reset must have been cooking, as this 42-team event at this 42-team event, all teams played 12 matches, which is quite a bit for a regional event. And the team from the Hope Chapel Academy finished first overall and selected 973 the Greybots and 3925 Circuit of Life. I like that team, team name. Circuit of Life. I won't sing the song. To join the alliance. The chemistry the teams had was immediate, and they absolutely dominated on their way to the finals, where they would face the number 3 alliance of 5802 Los Stematros, 5818 Riviera Robotics, and 1160 Titanium. However, the dominance of the number 1 alliance continued here in the finals. They were able to win the event in just 2 matches. Congrats to them, as well as 1868 longtime Chairman's Award contender Space Cookies on their regional Chairman's Awards.
Space Cookies.
All right, Justin, here's your time to sing it. Let's do it.
Nope, not today, bud. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
That'll happen. All right, it's time to get up and talk about our Soapbox discussion subject for today. And look, I just want to start out by saying that I had a lot of personal controversy this week, and I know that a couple other events did too. Subjective calls are always going to be rough to make, and everybody's a volunteer. I understand that, and I hope you understand that with a level head moving forward. So what I'd like to focus on is what I believe is one of the roots of the problems to potentially the brutal robot-to-robot contact in this game. And to me, that's all about bumper height. Bumper height allowances are potentially having major issues with this year's game. Look, I understand the GDC allowed for a wide range of 4-inch to 12-inch bumpers being off the floor to allow different drivetrains and for climbing. But from what I witnessed of the event that I attended and the other events this week, bumper height allowances have caused this year's game to be a complete nightmare to many teams, and importantly to the referees. We all want the referees to be able to call the game as fair and objective as possible. And First has stated this as well, too. And look, I'm ecstatic that Stronghold is a fantastic game. It's a great game. I love it. And I don't believe that First intended to have happen about robots climbing over each other, that sort of thing like that. But to me, looking in the future, if I were to look at how do we potentially solve an issue like this where some regionals, a robot is barely contacted, it's a red card. The other ones, there's robots driving over each other and it's allowed. I think there needs to be clarification to what egregious is defined as. To become more objectively defined, to create more consistency amongst referee calls and how teams approach defense. This is something that back when I was a student, before there were bumpers, believe it or not, there was a time before bumpers, before last year, and there was a lot of robot-to-robot contact back then, and there was definitions for what egregious was, and of course it's a subjective call still, but I think First needs to do a little bit better job clarifying what egregious is defined as and have that clearly stated to teams and to the referees as well. I don't think that bumper height restrictions are going to change this year, and nor probably should they. Teams design their robot around what the bumper height restrictions are going to be, right? But if we're going to have a high-impact game in the future where defense is potentially important, and I hope it is because I think that makes an interesting game, we need to have consistent heights on bumpers moving forward. And to me, teams, if you have issues or problems or just feedback, you have to use the feedback mediums that are provided to you. Mentors that are registered through TIM should be receiving a email after your event each time, and you need to fill that out and let First know what's going on. I have complete confidence that Frank and the rest of the FRC crew and the GDC, they're listening, they're reading, and they're acting based on the feedback that we provide. But you need to give feedback in order to let First know that something's going on. And you may or may not agree with me, and that's okay. But regardless, there's always going to be people who complain about things on Cheap Doll Fine. Sure, they read things on there or different forums, but use the avenues that are provided to you for teams as well, too, because if you have an issue, you need to stand up, but you need to do it the right way as well, too. All right, JT, it's time for me to step back down and take that deep breath again, since apparently I don't breathe at all when I talk. But based on what you saw, what are your thoughts on with the contact and the defense and Stronghold and how it could potentially relate to how bumper heights are involved?
So I took a look at the match that 1501 was given the red card in, and outside of the rules of the game, I didn't see that much of a problem from 1501's driving. I actually had to look back. At it to make sure that what I was seeing was actually the point where there was a red card called, and I noticed the flag go up. I think it's a little bit annoying to me that a robot can geometrically drive up on top of another one because of the bumper restrictions that were mentioned earlier and get red carded for it. Because I know from my experience on the drive team that if your vision's blocked and your robot is a tank drive robot that wants to tilt back already, that can pretty easily happen. Mm-hmm. And in some games, like in 2014, the bumpers were all low enough that that wouldn't really be much of an issue. But then this year, the bumpers understandably have to be higher, and then the difference in bumper heights paired with that, as well as the extremely high number of robots that can tip back and forth because of how the drivetrains are this year, it's a little bit, it seems to me unnecessary to have a red card for that. I think if anything, it should have been a technical foul at the most. Even though 1024 did end up getting disabled later because of it, I feel like that's just a design problem on the other side. We try to make our robots with the electronics safe enough underneath and inside the robot that if that sort of thing happens, it shouldn't matter too much. But I can understand that teams might not see that coming.
One thing that I can kind of interject too, because I think there's multiple regionals that people might think about when it was, and the Indiana Peri-Meridian event was definitely, an issue where there was a red card called for that. And just to give you a different perspective and not trying to do anything with the referees or anything like that, all at the Wisconsin regional in general, there were teams just completely climbing over each other, flipping each other over, that sort of thing, and it wasn't called. And I think just the general issue with that is consistency, right, between the events and between the referees from different events. And I think there's either it's just not clearly defined to the referees or clearly defined to us as teams about what's going on. But, obviously if you're getting a red card for something like that in your opinion, JT, you said maybe did not seem that egregious. And then there's other events where, robots are going all battle royale. To me, that just seems like there's a consistency issue going on.
So I agree. And I think one of the things that I think would help a lot is actually something that the National Hockey League, and I don't give the National Hockey League as a league credit for doing very much right very often, but one thing they did post-lockout, so we're talking like 2005, is they really kind of made teams aware that they were going to crack down on things that they had let go of in the past, as far as things like interference, which had really slowed the game down. So in an effort to make it clear going forward, post-lockout, how the NHL officials were going to call the games, they released a video. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching the video, and it clearly went through several different actual in-game situations saying this is, if this happens, this is how it's going to be called. If this happens, this is how it's going to be called. So not only do you have a rule book, but you also have like a nice visual. A lot of people are visual learners. Sure. Nice visual representation of how things were going to be called. And I think just even that to help the consistency across the events would do so much.
I think that's a great thing. And the NHL also does it with like penalties and stuff like that, or when guys get suspensions and stuff, they go through and say, here's what they do. Which brings us back to a point from last week or 2 weeks ago about video replay. I think that's a great idea, but I don't think we have the capabilities to do that. But that would tremendously help out stuff. But are you talking about doing it like in the beginning of the season? Because sometimes it's hard to predict too,
Right, but I do think that there are some, I think we could have even like a separate committee of FRC, veterans that could easily point out, all right, this is a sketchy role that I could see needing some video clarification. Sure. Here's another one, putting together something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a tough spot because again, as Tyler, you try to do is like you try to get down more to the root of the problem because we're putting a lot of we're putting volunteers in a place where it's obviously very tough, and you can't go back, like you said, with the bumper restrictions this year. You can't go back. And I feel like the last time we had bumpers, I know JT said about 2014, maybe not so, but I thought that the last time we had bumpers, there was an issue too with like the different heights and stuff. Was it 14 or was it 13 or I don't remember, but it's just that. Go ahead.
2014, as shown by Pain Train in the comments, had the same bumper height range, but the robots were less likely to be made to drive over things.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. They didn't have the pneumatic wheels, on everyone out there. So it's a tough spot. I don't really know what my other further thoughts are at this point, but.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of wrap it up, right? I mean, we're looking at as the consumer of first, right? We're looking for a consistent product put out there and things in regards to how the robots interact and play with each other and the presentation that's given to both ourselves as the consumers and then the general public, we'd like to get as consistent as possible. And I'm sure First does too, right? I mean, it's not saying that First wants a wacky game that everybody gets frustrated on. I'm sure they're in the same boat for that. But it's one of those things where hopefully we'll see evolution and iterations of the game as we move forward as well.
Sure.
All right, so let's get on the lookout here each week. Mike, Justin, myself will be selecting 2 regionals that we want to preview for you that are approaching this upcoming week. So with week 5 coming up ahead, Justin, we'll start with you. What events are you on the lookout for?
All right, so continuing with my California preview recap theme, we're going to preview the inaugural Orange County Regional. So a quick look at the team list. Not too many teams really jumped out, but after a finalist performance at Los Angeles, 2-time world champion 294 Beach Cities Robotics will definitely look to collect their first regional of the season, while Code Orange, who are fresh off an Einstein appearance last year, will also look to try to get into the win column after a quarterfinal appearance in LA. Other teams that will look strong are 3309 Friarbots, who've already picked up a chairman's award and went to the semifinals at their event. And they've already played twice. We're going to talk quite a bit when we get to the top 25, the seeming obvious advantage of having already played once and how it's helping in this game, and as well as 5817, who are finalists at Central Valley. So that's Orange County, and then I'm going to move to Las Vegas. So this is the last event I'm going to recap, and this is where 987 is no doubt the headliner for this event. It's by no means a runaway just for them, as 5012, 842, and 2486, the Coconuts, among others, will definitely make this a fun and competitive event. Last year was 987, 148, and 5012 who took home the banners, and without 148 coming back, it will be interesting to see if either 987 or 5012 can repeat last year's performance.
All right, moving on to my kind of theme. I'm sticking with MAR. We're going to preview Bridgewater. So over 40 teams will be competing this coming weekend at the Bridgewater Raritan High School. 2 out of the 3 winners from last year's event will be competing again this year, those being 1676, the Pascack Pioneers, as well as 1403, Cougar Robotics. Joining them will be teams such as 25, 75, 193, more Beta, 3314, and amongst others. These interest events always give a good show, especially at this point in the season with teams that have already had tons of matches under their belts. Good luck to all those competing, and we'll be watching. So the one I chose was the Smoky Mountain Regional, where 48 teams will be assembling in Knoxville, Tennessee. This will definitely also be a regional to keep an eye on, as 1912 Combustion, 1986 Team Titanium, 2481 Robotiers, 2614 Mars, 3824 HVA Robotics, 3937 Breakaway, 3959 MechTech, and 4462 Full Metal Jackets will all be competing. 2614, 3824, 2 of those which I just mentioned, as well as 3492 won this event last year. Many of those teams have already had great success this year, so make sure you include this region on your Blue Alliance game day screen. And that's what I got. Over to Fim.
Or YouthRobotics.tv screen, right?
Oh, that's true.
Oh, I know, right? No, both great sources, by the way. Just got to give them a nice name drop. All right, going over to Fim at Troy. There are a couple stacked events this weekend in Fim, but to me, Troy is always on the top of my list, with teams such as 33, 217, 469, 573, 862, 910, 1718, and even the Engineers in 2337. Troy sure to please the entire crowd, especially for you Fim fans out there. 217 looks to rise back up from the deep fried heaven after a tough loss last week, and I could really see them hitting their stride and looking like the 217 we all know them to be from just a few years ago. So check out Troy and Ober and Fim if you have an opportunity to. But to me, really the heavy hitter this week is the, if you looked at the GTR events a couple weeks ago, if that's any indication of what this is going to be, I can't wait to see the powerhouse teams that are going to be at Waterloo. Let's run down this list because there are a bazillion amount of teams here that are powerhouses, but we'll go through a few. 148, 610, 1114, 1241, 1360, 2056, 3683, 4039, 5046, and that's just to name a few. And get this, there's only 31 teams at the event. So you know what that means. There's going to be a clash of titans at this event, and there's going to be some amazing powerhouse alliances that are going to form. It probably also means, too, the teams, I would guess there's going to be, minimum 12 to maybe 14 matches for each team to play in qualifications. 2056, they had a power pack performance in week 2, but it could be another Canadian team that takes the #1 spot, or maybe a team such as the U.S. From Texas that takes it. I'm so glad I'm not attending an event this week because this is what, I'll have on my Blue Alliance screen, on my Youth Robotics screen, if you see my setup, I have a couple monitors in front of me, plus a TV in front of me as well too. So I have literally, 4 or 5 events up at once when I'm not at an event because I'm a big nerd. And Waterloo's going to be one of them. It's going to be a fantastic event. I know everybody wants to talk about if it's going to be 2056's first event lost, but you know what? Regardless, this is just going to be a crazy event. I can't wait to catch it.
Justin and I will both be there.
I can't wait to watch it live.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be there?
We'll both go, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Please, you guys got to record something while you're there.
Yeah, we'll get something going.
Yeah. All right, so every week during the competition season, we'll continue to feature strategies conceived by our friend Ryan Gwynn, who believes that teams that utilize, his brilliant ideas will wind up on Einstein. Brilliant, right? Let's take a look at what Ryan has for us this week on Ryan's Awesome Einstein Strategies. Now get ready for Ryan's Awesome Einstein Strategies of the Week.
Now watch me nay-nay. Okay. Now watch me whip. Watch me nay-nay. Why me do it? Now watch me whip. Watch me nay-nay. Okay. Now watch me whip.
All right, well,
that's great.
Yeah, for those of you listening, what happened on screen is we had a little bit of assist going on there from one of our robots and jumping onto the bar, and then a nice little celebration. Who sings that song, the Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay?
I don't even know. We're too old, man.
Come on, JT, who is it?
I don't know.
Silent Toe.
How would I know?
I don't know.
Yes.
Because it's the beginning, right? Silent Toe.
Right. All right, so let's pick a team. To me, here's a team. We talked about them a little bit before that I think is going to do it. I think it's going to be 5-2-5-4 hype or 5 poofs, because to me, this is something I could see the poofs doing. And 5-2-5-4, come on, guys. They're kind of a wannabe poofs, right? So I could see them wanting to do that. No, Hype's a great team, but that's what popped in my head. How about you, Justin?
I'm going to go with Robonauts 118. Their robot is a bunch of different linkages and crazy stuff that comes out of it. So I'm going to go with 118. They seem just crazy enough to do it. They're the team that comes out with the arms.
I'm going to go like 9 years ago, I think, if you can believe that. 2007, and I think this is the team, 1038, the Thunderhawks from Buckeye Regional. They had like chopsticks on their, like with for the tubes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was like kind of chopsticks on the front.
All right.
And they were finalists at Pittsburgh and finalists at Buckeye that year. So just with the whole little chopstick robot there.
Yeah, nice throwback reference there, man.
That's what I'm going with. If that's the right team, if that's what I'm thinking of, if that's the right year, because it could have been awesome in 2008. But
I think us and the entire audience will probably take your word for it.
There you go. All right, JT, who do you got?
Well, definitely not 16. But I wouldn't put it too far behind 125 to do it. They're crazy enough.
Well, and 125 last year had the whips, right, for their can grabbers with the tennis balls.
Yeah, and so, this year the robot's so small that it actually probably could launch its way up to the top on a ramp like that. I mean, how much is it? 80 pounds, 85? I can't remember. Tiny.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's small. Yep. All right. Chat roll, thanks for joining us so far. FRC Top 25 is coming up right around the bend. Let's give a big thanks to our special guest, JT Novak from Hall of Fame, FRC 16 Bomb Squad. Thank you so much for coming on and providing your insights for the show. JT, you want to promote a new initiative that's going on. Do you mind telling us a little bit about it?
Yeah, right. So I remember my experience being on the team, and it was great, except for one little thing. We always had trouble machining our parts on time. We always had good designs, but we'd spend 3.5 or 4 weeks machining our parts. And so since I've left the team, physically, I'm still there in spirit. But since I've left the team, I've been trying to figure out ways to get faster machine tools and better efficiency in the machining. And I've finally kind of come up with an idea. So if people would be willing to donate, or if someone would be willing to offer a machine for a price cheaper than full retail, I would be happy to say, for example, start up a Kickstarter, like $50. You get your choice of custom T-shirts. $250. I'll take any robot from your team's history, CAD it up to make it 3D printable, so you can 3D print it. And then for some other value higher than that, I could even 3D print it for you on the printer in my basement, or something like that. So if someone would like to help me do that, that would be wonderful, because I'm not that great at raising money. And
that's the trick, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of something worrying coming up in the future, and I'm trying to keep my team up ahead of the game. So if anybody would like to help me out, you can send me an email, jtfn@mit.edu. No spam, please. Or you can search for me on Facebook. I'm the only John Taylor Novak there.
Wow. All right.
Your mom,
well, JT
your mom corrected you, saying she thinks it's in her basement, by the way. So hang on. So you want to provide access to the machine for teams?
Oh yeah, right. So if the bomb squad were to get this machine, I would make sure that they also use it to help other teams in the state. And in Arkansas, since we're trying to grow the number of teams there, it's hopefully easy to realize it's a really difficult thing for a lot of the places. The sponsorship just isn't there. The money just isn't there. We're trying to help other teams in the state. And so one of the requirements for the team to get the mill would be, or the router actually, would be that they'd have to at least help a few other teams with it to make them parts, and so that they can build their dream designs just like we can. Fantastic. And so it would sort of fall under the Arkansas First category, but be housed in the bomb squad bomb shelter shop.
Gotcha.
Well, best luck with the email. You want to say the email address or contact one more time, just so people know?
Yeah, sure. It's jtfn@mit.edu. And my Facebook name is John Taylor Novak, John Taylor Ferguson Novak, but it should be pretty easy to find either way.
Yep. Well, thanks for providing that. Oh, yeah, put that in the chat, man. And thanks for providing that, JT. If you have the guess this week, if 16 is going to end up on the top 25 poll, which they are, I'm sure, where do you think they're going to end up this week, man?
Where's your guess?
I would really hope for number 1. But I feel like that's a high reach, so I'm going to put my official guess at number 3.
All right. Hey, at least you gave us a number, man. Half the guests are hesitant to do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate your confidence. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for being on, man. And you're going to come on a little bit for the post show, right? Come back, answer a few questions. So, yes. So we'll bring him back on for that. If you're watching live, we do have a post show. And if you're not watching live, well, you should watch us live, and we appreciate watching offline anyways. Thanks a lot, JT.
Thanks, JT.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you in a few weeks.
Bud.
All right, well, while we do reset for FRC Top 25, let's take a quick break to remind you of this episode. A recap is brought to you by AnyMark. Today we're going to go the straightforward and simple and just give you a product that I was looking at getting a spare of the other day, and that's the radio that we use on our robot this year. Here's why. AnyMark gives first teams an additional $31 discount just for being a first team. And to give you a little bit of background on that, too, we were looking for a robot, and we were looking for a radio that we had because we just got back from competition, and we looked around and we couldn't find a radio anywhere, and we realized that we only bought one. So of course, in the hesitant me, I'm like, we got to buy another one. Let's get it here stat. Let's do this right away. And all we did was go onto the website. If you are logged in and you're a first team, you get an extra discount to it, and it's the cheapest price I've been able to find out there. We did a 2-day FedEx. It's coming in tomorrow. Straight through AnyMark, and the funny thing is we ended up finding the radio, so I guess now we have 2 anyways. So we'll have a second one coming in, but the discount on that, you can't find it anywhere else. With AnyMark's great service, we know that we can count on them to pull through when we need it most, and I'm sure that you can too. So go over to anymark.com today and check out all their supplies that they have to support teams. Huge thanks to AnyMarks too for all their continued support as well. They really help us put the show together, guys, and I hope that you are patronizing them, and hopefully if you like them, you like us, and that's how we keep the show going, so thank you.
There we are. Very cool. So 4 weeks done. And this kind of always start at the top 25, but we always kind of reflected how quickly the season goes, and it's just nuts that we're already here. So if you're new, welcome. We kind of just solicit your votes at the end of the week. It opens on Sunday at like 7-ish. After districts are done, closes on Monday around 8-ish. Gives you 24 hours to kind of put your list together. I think maybe next week we might be only requiring 15 votes.
Yeah, we're going to go to 15, yep.
There you are. So you need to vote for 15 teams of who you think are the best, and then we form the top 25 out of that. We do have, it is comprised of an expert poll as well. So we have some experts that we've contacted, which remain anonymous, and so they also kind of help balance out the voting as well. So,
and Mike, one thing I can say too for the 15, you can still vote up to 25. So if you want to have more of a say, you can do that. But we like to listen to you, and we like to get feedback from you, and we want to make sure that as many of you can participate as possible. So that's why we like to go to 15. We'll try that out, and hopefully that works out for a majority of you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we kind of work through this. We try to spend no more than 20 to 30 minutes on this. We have like a little break in the middle there, kind of have a mini soapbox or just kind of a topic to talk about as well. So
we're actually moving pretty good. We might actually finish on time.
That's because you're not working tonight, Mike.
That's it. I know, right? The past 2 weeks I've had to go to work, and then we have to like end it. We have to like speed up and go real fast. So very cool.
Let's do it.
So to kick things off this week, week 4, FRC Top 25 is team number 1323.
From Madera, California, Madera High School, it's Madtown Robotics, a season record of 23-11. They were finalists at CVR and finalists at Sacramento.
So after their finalist appearance at the Central Valley Regional a couple of weeks ago, Madtown Robotics looked to improve on that performance this past weekend in Sacramento. That would be a tough task in a dense field of good teams. They would finish second, going 8-0. With a 27 RS being passed up by the number 1 seed of 971, 1323 would go down to the 15th spot to select defending world champion 1671. They would also add 604 Quicksilver to round out the alliance. Taking quarterfinals to 3 matches, they improved their synergy in the semifinals, winning both matches with impressive scores of 144 and 155. In the finals, they would meet 1670 again after losing to them at Central Valley. On their alliance was the number 1 seed of 971 and 5274. It was a tough alliance to battle against, and it was the number 1 alliance that was able to take the win. But another great event for 1323, landing here in the top 25 and getting their wild card locked up as well.
There you are. Very cool. Congrats to 1323. On the 24th, we have Team 1023.
From Temperance, Michigan, Bedford Senior High School, it's the Bedford Express. Listen to this record, 44-7-1 overall, and we're the winners of the Livonia District event.
So with 2 finalist appearances to their name for the Stronghold season, the Bedford Express looked for the gold medal this past weekend in Livonia. Going a perfect 12-0 with a 37 ranking score, they selected the number 2 seed, 27, as well as 5907, and headed to the playoffs with a chip on their shoulder. Bedford plays a mean game, taking defenses by storm, scoring high or low, and then scaling at the end. In the playoffs, they would keep going undefeated, winning the district event in 6 matches, scoring as high as 172 and as low as 132. Congrats to this hard-working team on the win. 3 medals at least this season. Good luck going forward. I know we saw them a little bit. Your team played with them in Pittsburgh, and I know they finally had a little trouble the first couple of events, but to see them get it going all the way really speaks to that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think they've already played so many events, so many matches, and they're still going to play the district championship in FIM before the world championship. So a lot of matches.
I wonder if they could get 100 matches in this year.
It's going to be they got a good shot at it.
Yeah. Well, and how do you build a robot? Well, I was just about to say, how do you build a robot? That's that robot.
Too soon, man.
And I just realized. We'll move on.
Yeah.
All right.
Down to the 23rd ranked team. Team 1501.
From Huntington, Indiana, Huntington County 4-H, it's Team Thrust. It says Thirst.
Okay, Colin.
37-16 overall. Finalists at quarterfinals at Tippecanoe and finalists at Perry Meridian.
So welcome to the top 25. This team is the epitome of why the district model is so awesome. This team being 37-16 is over 50 matches played in the Stronghold with the Indiana District Championship still to come. This past weekend at Perry Meridian, this was Thrust's 3rd event of the season. They'd go 10-2 with a 38 ranking score. They were selected first overall by Blast from the Past, Team 71, and added 829 and headed to the elimination rounds, cruising through quarterfinals and semifinals, scoring as high as 195, so close to that 200 club. In the finals, they would lose the first match, only scoring 75, but battle back, scoring 167 in the second match. In the third, an apparent tech foul DQ'd the Red Alliance, and the win went to the blue side. So nice tall robot, high goal shot, and a scaler. Looks like a really solid robot. Hashtag solid robot.
Awesome. Good job to them. Then we kind of touched on that red card earlier, so we'll just move right along over that. Our 22nd ranked team is team 5254.
From Trumansburg, New York, Charles Dickinson High School, it's Hype. 27-7 overall over the finalists, the Tech Valley Regional.
So Hype is becoming kind of quite of a well-known team here in upstate New York, because they've taken 3 finals medals and 4 events leading up to the Finger Lakes Regional this past weekend. So looking for their first gold, they came out with vengeance, scoring high, scoring often, and taking defenses with ease. Finishing first, many teams were hoping to be selected by Hype because they were looking that great, but they would select 2791 Shaker Robotics and 2383, who in my opinion was kind of a steal there at the end because they were a high goal shooter. Quarterfinals, I think their quarterfinal one match won. I'm pretty sure all 3 of them put a ball in the high goal in autonomous, which was pretty cool for your 24th robot, your last pick of the draft. They would end up losing the semis to the team that they were paired up with at the Tech Valley Regional earlier this year, Team 20. Hype has good things coming from in the future. They just keep the pedal to the metal. That gold will come to them soon. I know they're a hardworking team. They got some good young mentors on the team as well. Still just looking for that gold medal. Only have played 5 events, and 3 of them they've been finalists.
I think it's hard to. I think at some level you do have to learn to win, right?
Sure.
Learn how to get that last bit of effort or skill or luck or whatever is needed to kind of start picking up those gold medals. And you're absolutely right. There are teams that will.
I think something like that is, there are events where you can just win by your individual robot, right, or 3 individual robots in the field. But I think part of it is learning that cohesion as an alliance. That when you do get to those really tough matches, that you can outthink and outplay that alliance, and not just do what your strategy is going to be, but also predict and look at trends of what their strategy is going to be. And I think that's kind of that gap that you need to breach as a team.
Definitely.
5 poofs.
5 puffs.
All right, so moving from them to the 21st ranked team, Team 1519.
From Milford, New Hampshire, Milford area youth homeschoolers, it's Mechanical Mayhem, 17-2 overall winners at the UNH event.
So definitely no stranger to the top 25. Mechanical Mayhem competed for the first time this season, this past weekend at the UNH event. Finishing third and going 11-1 with a 36 RS, they were selected first overall by 319 Big Bad Bob, and they would add 1512 the Metal Vidsters to run out their alliance. Mechanical Mayhem was a clear choice because they had a nice autonomous mode that could score high, cross the defense as well, and get on that batter at the end, which seems like a simple task, but wasn't necessarily simple for all teams. This alliance would head to the eliminations with only 1 hiccup in the semifinals, would win the event in 2 matches in the finals. Congrats and good luck at Pine Tree in a couple weeks.
So this is just their first event. So kind of playing later, as much as you have to wait, and just wait while you're watching these teams compete, I think there's something to be said about waiting until week 4 to play. You have more time kind of to work if you have a practice robot to program kind of stuff, and also kind of see how the game evolves and how your strategy kind of might change. I think that really sets you up for the future.
So I think also that could be a little bit of a double-edged sword because playing your first event this late, most other teams you're playing against might have already played once before. And the advantages that go along with that. So
you're right.
And if we look at last year's game, for example, where, as a team our first event was week 4 and we played 4 and 6, last year when we played, there was no defense, right? So to have something like that where, you didn't have to really worry too much about other teams evolving too much.
Just keep doing what you do.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this year, and I think it goes from game to game, I think this year the evolution of gameplay is just increasing so much week to week that if you played an early event and then had a later event, I think that gives you a good advantage as well too. I know from our team saying, we obviously for us had what we feel is a little bit underperforming performance on that, and you're definitely right. It's a double-edged sword where we got more time till our first event, but man, are we looking forward to having our second event even later.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Very good. All right, moving on to 20th place, we have Team 1296.
From Rockwall, Texas. Rockwall High School, it's the Full Metal Jackets, 20-8 overall. The semifinalists at the Dallas Regional.
All right, so competing way back at Palmetto in the week 0.5 event, Full Metal Jackets look to improve on their semifinal appearance there. They traveled over to the Dallas Regional where they ranked 4th with a 9-2 record and a 29 ranking score. They would end up on the second alliance, accepting an invitation from 3005, the Robochargers. These two would add 4192, the Jagger Knots, to their alliance. They fought through the 7th alliance, putting up scores of 154 and 190. This alliance would never find this kind of the same groove and were eliminated in the semifinal, scoring only 80 and then 96 in those two matches that they lost in the semis. Congrats on the Regional Chairman's Award at Dallas, and we'll see you in St. Louis for the Regional Chairman's Award.
Very good.
Okay.
They aren't the only Texas team we're going to talk about here tonight.
That's true. A couple more to go.
Before we get to them, we got to stop here at the 19th spot with Team 1730.
From Lee Summit, Missouri, Lee Summit Senior High School, it's team driven. 19-11 overall, quarterfinals at GKC, and finalists in Iowa.
So welcome back to the top 25, Team 1730. First time on the list this season, but they've made appearances often the last few years. The season got off to kind of a shaky start in Kansas City, but they got their ship righted this past weekend in Iowa, reaching the finals and earning that all-important wild card. They have a nice multi-directional intake and really excel at shooting in the high goal when they are on the bat or right against the tower. So congrats to 1730, and as Mike said, good luck at the championship event. It's kind of crazy that we're getting to the point of the season where
that's the next
event is the World Championship.
Yep. That's minds are changing, teams are making reservations, kind of an exciting time for lots of teams.
Definitely.
Oh, you guys are making reservations already for restaurants in St. Louis? I got to get on that.
You better get on that. I tell you what,
I got to get on that.
Waiting until Saturday night to try to get some St. Louis barbecue was a huge mistake. I tell you what, when you're expecting a St. Louis barbecue and you have to go to Applebee's, there's nothing worse in the world. We are going to get our St. Louis barbecue Wednesday night.
There you go. Was that place that the Poofs the Poofs always go? You got to go to that place. They always wait out. They camp out in the morning to get
to the Spaghetti Factory, I think it's called too.
All right,
something like that.
That place is like a 3-hour wait.
We should have a little
interesting.
Talk about food. I might forget about that.
I was gonna say we should have a little food segment on this show.
Oh, we should.
St. Louis,
yeah.
So what am I looking for? Yelp or
FC 725 always comes back to food.
Like in Justin's culinary crusade.
Yeah, exactly.
TripAdvisor is the lifeblood of
a couple of batteries there. You might as well close up shop.
the stock in this cute little Brussels sprout. Anyways, we digress.
Indeed.
Over to the 18th spot, we have teams 1619.
From Longmont, Colorado, Longmont High School, it's Upper Creek Robotics, 23-6 overall, the winners of the Colorado Regional.
So no stranger to the top 25, Upper Creek had a disappointing outing at the Arizona North Regional, making an exit in the quarterfinals. This past weekend, they had a chance to compete again, and they definitely made some improvements, finishing 10-1 at the Colorado Regional. They were almost able to do 3 ranking points per match, but that was good enough for first place. Upper Creek has amazing confidence on the field. Coming through the low bar, they line up a high goal shot at the batter, and then they make it. They spend the rest of the match rinse and repeating. Awesome Robot guys, congrats on your success this season. They have all the components of a true blue, just spread over 2 different regionals. So they have a regional win, they have a Chairman's Award, and they have a Woody Flowers Finalist Award, but spread over Arizona North and then the Colorado. So congrats to them. We kind of make up these little things. So I think we came up with that last week. Was true blue is if those 3 happen, 3 blue banners at the same regional.
Yeah, true blue.
True blue.
Write that down.
They did get some cling bling though. So
yes.
Okay.
All right. So from 18 to 17, we have Team 1310.
That from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it's Runnymede Collegiate Institute. It's Runnymede Robotics, 22-8 overall, quarterfinals at GTR Central, and winners at the North Bay Regional.
So after a disappointing quarterfinal exit at GTR East, 1310 came to North Bay looking for a ticket to the World Championship, showcasing a beautiful low bar, low goal autonomous in that 15-point auto club, and a nice high goal shooter that are making Stronghold look easy. Icing on the cake is their nice scaling mechanism that adds up to easy points at the end of the match. They were able to pair up with 1241 and dominate the event. This was their 3rd win in 3 years and back-to-back wins at North Bay for 1310. So congrats to them on their great performance, punching their ticket to the World Championship. They're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. No, will they be at? Oh no, they won't be at Waterloo.
No. They're probably thankful for that. It's a gauntlet, man.
That's crazy. And then, Yeah, to kind of go back to that, 31 teams there. That's going to be crazy. But congrats to 1310 Runnymede. Always kind of, we hear about them every year. Just I think one of those teams that has consistent success to some level every year. So
yeah, like I said, they've won regional past 3 years in a row. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Moving along, in our 16th spot, we have Team 525.
Bum, bum, bum. From Cedar Falls, Iowa. Cedar Falls High School, it's the Swart Dogs. 15-1 overall, the winners of the Iowa Regional.
So competing for the first time this season, the Swart Dogs made an appearance at the Iowa Regional. Gliding over defenses with ease, putting bowlers into the high goal, the Swart Dogs returned to the top 25 here at 16. They finished second with a 9-1 record overall and a 3.1 ranking points per match average. They were selected first overall by 5172 Gators, and these two added 1208 Me Tool Brigade. This Lions did some work in the playoffs, only playing 6 matches, scoring between 150 to 187, in those 6 matches. Congrats. Good luck next weekend at the 10,000 Lakes Regional. But also congrats on the not quite True Blue winners. They were winners, Chairman's Award, and Volunteer of the Year Award.
Oh, so close.
Almost a True Blue at Colorado. So
that's clarification, 10K.
Oh, wait, that's 1086. Yes, excuse me. 1086 almost hit that True Blue.
Oh, so that's got to be Metal Brigade, right?
Me Tool?
Me Tool Brigade.
I feel like
is it Me Tool?
Yeah, it's Me Tool.
I don't understand. Is that where they're from? Like, I don't understand. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Whatever you want it to mean.
Me Tool, precision engineers, fabricators, and
yeah, it's metal. I think it's
been pronounced
metal.
Me Tool at all the events I've been at where they've been there.
Well, I don't know. All right.
Well, that's from the UK.
Who knows? It might be Me Tool.
They're from O'Fallon, Illinois, but yeah.
All right. Where are we at here, Mike?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out.
Now we're all messed up.
Number 15.
No, it's not the time.
Nick.
Nick's chiming in now.
Nick's got a date tonight, I think.
No, Nick's like, I know if I let them get too far off, we'll never get them back.
Nick says he's not sticking around for the post show either.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. So that's you.
So I'm just making sure you're ready to go.
Let's do it.
You're at a UK website right now. So the 15th spot is Team 2848.
From Dallas, Texas, Jesuit College Prep High School. It's the All Sparks. 22-5 overall, quarterfinals at Alamo, and winners at the Dallas Regional.
So experience playing this game is becoming a theme more than ever this year, as teams that have had a rough go at their first event have come out guns blazing at their second, and same is true here for the All Sparks. Quarterfinalists earlier this season, they looked to Dallas for their comeback, and comeback they did. Their catapult was insanely accurate and consistent, and their drivers were able to keep it smooth and efficient, even in the face of defense as they got deeper and deeper into the playoffs. Partnering with 148 gave us a chance for both robots to be working together, and their 1-2 punch was unstoppable. It's another great robot from 2848, and with their regional season over, they will look to make their mark and search for yet another world championship.
Very cool. That's the team. I mean, I was like 148, no doubt will have that number 1 seed, but 2848 comes out, like you said, guns blazing. Just does amazingly well.
And they have some really high quality videos of the eliminations at Dallas.
Do they?
So if you haven't watched it yet, you can always see 2848 and 148 both playing just extremely well, and really is a glimpse to how things are going to go as this game progresses.
Cool.
So
and a big shout out, by the way, to Greg Nadell, who was on our show about a month ago or so, who it's on All Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, from All Sparks in 15, we're going to go to 14, and that's 1024.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, the McKenzie Center for Innovation and Technology, it's the Kilobytes. 44-11-2. Winners at Tippecanoe, winners at Walker Warren, winners at Perry Meridian.
57 matches later, Kilobytes sits here at 14 for the most recent outing at the Perry Meridian event. They already have wins at Tippecanoe and the Walker Warren events and look to make it 3 for 3 at the Perry Meridian event. The Kilobytes are just lights out, taking defenses quickly in auto and teleop, and their quick lineup and high goal shot is amazing to watch. They were ranked 9th and were taken 2nd overall by 1747 with the help of 45. This alliance down to quarterfinals and semifinals, putting up 201, 171, 195, and 189. They were with the event in 3 matches, with the DQ happening on the other alliance. Congrats on the triple event win, and good luck at your state championship. So they're just about at 60 matches. They're going to be at least at 72, 79, almost 80. It's going to be crazy by the time they get a championship.
Yeah, that is. How about 3 winners of 3 events and 14th overall?
Yeah.
What does it take?
Right?
What does it take?
What does it take?
Well, and the one thing I'll say about Kilobytes, though, too, is because I saw them week 3. They're definitely a good robot, but I'm not sure they quite crack that top tier robots out there. Yeah, I mean they are a really good team, but on the same side too, their lineup does take maybe just a little bit longer because their catapult, it's one of those open ones, so when the ball drops in, it does have to settle a little bit before they fire. So that, to me, that might be kind of why they're not quite cracking that top 10 or top 5 consistently.
All right. Well, they won world championships, and we're going to come back to this episode. Just kidding, Tyler.
Who's next?
I don't know.
He just kind of has that perfect evil laugh.
No, you'll see.
Yeah. Who is next?
That's you,
in
buddy.
The 13th spot, Team 27.
From Clarkston, Michigan, Clarkston High School, it's Team Rush. 28-7 overall, finalists at Buckeye, winners at Livonia.
So the finals performance of the Buckeye Regional, Team Rush played their first matches this past weekend inside the Finn District. They're a tall bot who loves to shoot from right on the bat or right into the high goal. Their shot looks super consistent, and they move around the field with ease. They played their final district event before the Michigan State Championship next weekend at Woodhaven, where they look to dial in their machine further. But we talked about this a little bit earlier. But before champs, they'll have played 4 events: a regional, 2 district events, and a district championship event. That's got to be just an incredible advantage that really is, again, one of those things that's really only available to district teams.
Sure.
It's just.
Because you get the experience at district championships is kind of, you could relate it or almost be identical to what you get at the championship event itself. Just kind of the level of teams being played, kind of the venue they're being played at. You kind of get all that experience already. So when you get to championship, it's not that much of a jump. So teams that play kind of at a 40-team regional and maybe only one regional throughout the year win it. They go, that's a huge jump. And maybe weeks go by at a time, but just the experience again that you said that these district teams get. It just, I think, sets them up for great success later.
Great success. It is worth mentioning we try to do it the best we can. Team 27 is a Hall of Fame team. We love seeing those Hall of Fame teams in the top 25.
All right. Moving on, our 12th ranked team is Team 624.
From Katy, Texas, Cinco Ranch High School, it's kryptonite. 21-10 overall, the finalists at the LMO Regional.
So Texas powerhouse and no stranger to the top 25. Kryptonite makes their second appearance in the top 25 this season here at the 12th spot. They finished 4th overall and were finalists earlier this season at the Alamo Regional. This past weekend, competed again at the Rocket City Regional and finished 7th, going 8-2. And they were selected 2nd overall by 179 Children of the Swamp. They added 54-72 for their run in the playoffs. Their quarterfinals and semifinals rounds both went to 3 matches, but just couldn't get into the finals. They do have one more regional next weekend at the Lone Star Regional. They look to hope to make their bid for the championship event. Again, another team that just kind of steady as she goes throughout the years, always makes an appearance in the top 25. Has some great competition and great friends, I guess, or whatever, teams down in Texas. And I know they all just kind of build each other up down there as well. So.
Yeah, I feel like we've had this conversation about 624 before, about just missing champions. Didn't that happen a couple years ago? And that really spurred the whole discussion about, how could we get, I think it was actually 233 the discussion was about.
Yeah,
we were how could we get, a peer vote?
Like 3 or 4 teams,
like 5, peer voted spots or something like that.
Which would be great.
Cool. Maybe we should talk to Frank Merrick about that.
Get on that.
Because I'm sure you'd be willing to let a few guys who
At
really
that
have
point,
no idea
though,
what they're
right?
doing hand out spots to the championship event.
I think we can make a bid for that. We'll vote it.
He'd be like, no.
Let's put out a poll.
Yeah, right.
Put out a poll. All right. Very cool. Ooh, cruising along here.
So before we get into the top 10, we're going to take a quick stop and talk about the 11th ranked team, 1806.
You fooled me there. I was like, From Smith Mill, Missouri, Smith Mill High School, it's SWAT, 27-5 season record. Finalists at GKC, winners at Oklahoma.
So 1806 continues that theme of finalists at one event, winning the next, as they make their mark here in the top 25, just outside of that top 10. They did what we've talked about on the show for years as being very difficult to do, and that's go undefeated at an event. However, SWAT was a perfect 15-0, posting an honest to goodness claw shooter that I'd love to get some more detail on, because if you watch it, they don't seem to have much depth on the ball, right? The ball's not very deep into the claw, which means they have to somehow accelerate that very quickly over a short distance, and they can shoot all the way from the outer work, so it's not like they're making short shots.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I don't know if it's a pneumatic or how they're making that happen, but it's a really kind of an impressive thing to watch and a cool robot to see. So another great robot and a great win for them, and happy to see them back in the top 25 here again for 1806 watts.
Do you guys remember their reveal video that they had?
I do.
It was the old timey theme, that sort of thing like that. I don't know. Every time I think about that song that they played, is just every time I think about their robot, it's just positioned in my head, and I just think about that launcher that they have, and just shooting from the outer works with that is just crazy.
It is crazy, and it works so well too. It's awesome.
Let's go back and watch it.
All right, so we're here going to take a short break, as somehow our my 10 o'clock ending time is becoming a mirage, but
Mirage.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
So
go ahead. So this is.
I know I think we were originally going to talk about last year, and we kind of talked about it through the first 4 weeks already. But I feel maybe we just weren't looking for it as much in years past. But I feel like the amount of Kling Bling teams that are happening, again, if you're a little unfamiliar with Kling Bling, that's our term for either winning the regional. So you get medals for winning or for finalists, and you get medals for chairman's or EI. So if you win any combination of the two of those, we call it Kling Bling, because you did it. And that happened to us in 2007 or 2008, something like that. Just because it's the sound that when you're wearing both of them and you're walking around, we just find it funny. Yeah, so it's cool. So I just feel like that happened in the past 5-6 years. It's happening more and more where teams are doing that, whether it's gold, silver, gold, silver, silver, gold, whatever it may be. And I don't know what it is, because I feel like in years past, maybe when we first started as students, 2006, 2007, 2008, somewhere in there, I felt like programs were either you were a really good chairman's team or you were a really good robot team. Mm-hmm. And I think over the past few years, I think I've seen that there's kind of been more of a crossover between that.
Sorry, the first website's useless. Anyway,
that's bad too. So I just feel like the past few years, there's kind of been a crossover where teams are becoming more dominant in the chairman's side, more dominant in the robot side, and it's evident because every week we say there's at least 5 teams that probably got a Kling Bling through it.
Yeah,
so.
And I also think maybe part of it is just you have to maintain a certain longevity, I think, in order to compete for the Chairman's Award and the Engineering Inspiration Award consistently, right? They even say in the award description, it has to be more than a single build season.
Right.
So I think that kind of inherently in surviving that long is you kind of get, you get better building robots at the same time. I like to think anyway for a lot of teams.
Right.
So I think that kind of longevity aspect of it, being more active in your community, wanting to be better on the field, all that kind of plays into creating these the more prevalent Kling Bling situations.
Right. So that's kind of just my first thought. You can read that quick. I don't know if we want to go into what I don't like about this game, but just seeing more gameplay happening, I don't like that there's so many restricted zones, and they're right next to each other, right? Because you have the secret passage right next to the outer works, and any inch of contact between the two of those, vice versa, then there's penalties being thrown.
I just think that referees need to have more leeway in what. It's to use a hockey example, right? When a player in the defensive zone shoots the puck out of bounds, it's a delay game penalty, right? It's black and white. There's nothing they can do. And it's unfortunate because at some point I feel like the referee should be able to let the game kind of play. And if, like you're saying, if an inch, completely almost irrelevant contact, benign contact occurs between two robots, why does it have to be a penalty? Referees should be able to look at it and be like, yeah, they touched, but it didn't really impact the match at all.
Right.
And it certainly isn't worth calling a penalty for. Just let them play.
Yeah.
So
if I can give kind of a side thing, though, I mean, you are adding a little bit more subjectiveness to it than too, right? And one of the things that I think that has been a loud thing is to keep things as objective as possible. And whether or not you like the zones or not, I mean, that's definitely a debatable thing, but I do feel that we should try to keep as many things objective as possible, so that can be called. And, even at the regional I was at last week, I mean, there were plenty of times where there was somebody contacting somebody else in the secret passage, and they're just like, man, close enough, or it didn't, it wasn't that big of a deal. Let's just move forward, that sort of thing. So it's already happening, regardless.
Yeah. I mean, I like the zones to an extent. I don't really see the benefit of the secret passage, I guess, except that that allows you to get into that courtyard and out and stuff. I like the protected outer works. Gives a chance, teams to be able to play this game from protected. Maybe you could go to kind of still be a little subjective. Like if they don't have a boulder and they're in the outer works and there maybe can be no penalty. I don't know if they're doing that also to maybe protect the outer works themselves from damage, because defense can't bleed into the outer works and then damage the cheval de frise again, or stuff like that. So I don't know if maybe that's a reason why as well. But it's tough to see penalties being thrown a lot, especially when they literally touch. The two protected zones are literally right next to each other. Yeah. So that's pretty hard for me to see.
Can I just add one more thing that I thought was kind of funny? When you're watching the strategy of some of the finals matches, especially, is the robot that is let's say there's a Red Alliance robot of specifically watching the human player inbound the balls or inbound the boulders back in the field, and so if it's a Blue Alliance human player, the Red Alliance robot is just trying to match what the human player's doing. Yeah. So you just see him quickly go in and quickly go out and try to just pick up the ball, and it's hilarious though. And then there was a couple of them. There was one finals, and I forget which one, where I saw the defensive robot, instead of playing defense, actually just stood and played defense and almost pretty much blockaded all the balls from the secret passage coming in.
Sure.
So they just played gatekeeper, so the robots could not go in to grab the balls from the secret passage.
Because there's not a lot of opportunities for the other alliance to stop that, because they're scoring or playing defense on whatever. So
one last thing, if you're kind of interested, your robot's performing great. If you are interested in kind of moving your team more towards the community-based awards like the Chairman's Award, Engineering Inspiration Award, etc. As I was just bashing the first website, I do have to say that if you can find your way, and this is why the first website is terrible. If you can find your way to the firstinspires.org resource library, click on FRC, and then find your way to the 2016 Regional District Championship Chairman's Award winners page, all the essays for teams that have won so far are posted on that page. So if you're interested in kind of what other teams are doing to win these incredible awards, I encourage you to take a look at that and download some of these essays and read what these teams are all about.
Oh, real quick, Clara said that we should talk about your shirt, by the way. I can't see it. Is it behind your mic? Is that a Bobby's World shirt?
Whose? Is it mine?
No, it's actually a local shirt.
It's the hospital that I work at. Her name is Sandy, and she's had a broken leg for a long time.
That's not judgment on the hospital. If you have a broken leg, go to the hospital. They get you fixed quicker
This is the little logo of the children's hospital that I work at. And her name is Sandy Strong, because I work at Strong Memorial Hospital. So it's our little logo. But Barry Nobles was like, have they fixed Sandy's leg yet? He asked me that one day, because she has a little broken leg with a cast. So that's that. This is kind of my other little rant about, because it's this time of year that teams are asking for money to go to championship, and we're all hurting. It's tough. I think it's one thing if you're posting on Facebook for your non-robotics friends, but I know it's hard. But and sometimes even the $10 here and there from maybe somebody who will donate anyway. But I think it's just tough. I think you gotta be tasteful of how you do it.
Well, I do think it's definitely directed towards those people. It's definitely directed toward their non-robot friends, parents, grandparents.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And I know that the Vex team I started in Oswego, Freezing Code, they have a GoFundMe up that I always give money to help them get to championship as well. So it's not meant for, I don't think, for teams getting money from other teams. It's for those people.
I don't even know if anybody's doing it on Chief Delphi right now, but I know you see that a lot. But I know there's a lot of.
That's true.
There's a lot of need for it. But I think
the more people you know, the more you see it, right?
Yeah.
Because it just starts littering your page right after. It's usually the day after. So on a Monday or something like that, you'll wake up and literally it's just GoFundMe, please help my team, and then that's great. It's just blocks it up a bit. But I mean, I think Justin's right where it's. The directed audience is not us. It's the
for sure.
It's the grandmas. It's the.
That's what I'm saying. I think Facebook is different, and like I said, I don't look at Chief Delphi that often, but I know you see it on there sometimes too. But there's a lot of teams that are in need of some cash flow for it. But anyways, that's all kind of I had those 3 different things. But
Good stuff.
cool. I guess we'll keep it going. We got 10 teams left. Let's get on. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. We kind of like to just take a break there in the middle and talk about some things that are on our minds or on your minds that are on the minds of those that are in robotics. So
If you got stuff you want to, email us at firstupdatesnow@gmail.com.
That's awesome.
I'm in the north. You owe me a Pepsi instead of Coke.
Yeah.
I do like Coke better, though.
There
We have Coca-Cola right in our town. There's like a plant here.
What?
There's Coke. There's like a Coke distributor.
There's a Pepsi.
There's one in every single town.
There's a lot of Coke
There's a Coke dealer right down the road. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Oh,
all right, moving on. I'm sorry. Our 10th place team is Team 973.
From Atascadero, California, Atascadero High School. It's the Greybots, 25-6-2 overall. The winners, the Ventura Regional.
So 973 was out for vengeance in Ventura after falling in the semifinals earlier this season in Central Valley. 973 is a tall bot with a nice wedge design that makes the portcullis an insignificant challenge. They shoot confidently from the outer works with a nice spotlight to assist their drivers. They were able to play a match with 330 in qualifications, and the two teams were able to score 14 boulders. In the playoffs, the teams paired up again, and they flirted with the 200 club on multiple occasions. Another ticket punch to the championship for the 2011 World Champs, and we look forward to watching them once again to compete for that title. 14 boulders.
Yeah, it was really impressive to watch. And the ramp, kind of big, a lot of teams have these little wedges for the portcullis. They have a pretty big one. It kind of just shoots it up and over the robot.
It could be another discussion. I know we talked about it last week, but after another week of seeing competition in person, do you think they'll change the tower strength?
I just stick with what I said before. I think they should. I don't think they will. But we'll see.
They won't till champs for sure.
Oh, they won't till champs for sure, but yeah.
I've been wrong before.
Oh, yes.
All right, to single digits we go with number 9, team number 179.
From Riviera Beach, Florida, in that Grove Community High School, it's Children of the Swamp. 26-5 overall, winners at Palmetto, finalists at Rocket City.
So in case you forgot, almost a month to the day, 179 got us started in Stronghold at the week 0.5 event in Palmetto, and the robot has been sitting in the bag waiting for another chance to compete. That chance came with a very competitive Rocket City Regional in Alabama. 179 seated a solid third behind Powerhouse's 16 and 118. Nothing to be ashamed of there for sure. In fact, they only lost one match and beat both 118 and 16 in separate qualification matches, handing those teams their only losses of the event. 179 has a great machine and has one more tune-up in South Florida before heading to St. Louis. Good luck to Team 179, the Children of the Swamp.
It's a fun name to say.
Love it.
All right, moving on to 8. We have Team 5172.
From Greenbush, Middle River, Minnesota. Greenbush Middle River High School. It's the Gators. 26-3 overall, the winners of the Iowa Regional.
So keeping it consistent with their appearance in the top 25 after ranking 8th on the week 1 list, they again find themselves in a familiar territory here in week 4. When you look at the robot, it's got a lot going on. It's tall, has a high-wheeled shooter, an impressive scaling mechanism that is simple in operation and execution. They went undefeated at the event, winning all 16 matches, as well as picking up an Excellence in Engineering award. This team from Minnesota has it going on and will be a competitive robot at the championship event. Congrats to 5172, the Gators.
Yeah, and I talked about them a couple of weeks ago when they last played, and you just see their robot just progressing more and more, and they are a tall bot too, which is awesome, right, as you mentioned, and it's just cool to see those tall bots just starting to, almost in many cases, starting to leap ahead of some of those shorter bots because they can just pop those goals back in and just cycle so fast. And I think Gators, I'm not sure if I'm exactly correct, but I think they were scoring 8 or 9 balls in a couple of matches, and that's just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So this is, so just want to point out kind of a cool thing. I think that 5172, that under normal circumstances, is a team that might fly under the radar a little bit. I'm not sure how much coverage we get in Greenbush, Middle River, Minnesota, but it's cool that both the community at large and our expert poll were both pretty much in agreement there with both their ranking and the and the recognition to 5172. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
All right.
To number 7 we go. team number 330.
From Hermosa Beach, California, Hope Chapel Academy, it's the Beach Bots, 28-4-1 overall. Finalists at Los Angeles, winners at Ventura.
So that was funny, actually, when I was making this slide. For some reason, Google wanted to keep correcting Beach Bots to Beach Boys. And I was like, nah, that's not really it. So as Mike just said, finalists at LA to start their season. The Beach Bots were firing on all cylinders this past weekend in Ventura. The robot just looks beefy, but also was able to show its finesse with nice, quick, confident scoring and a nice scale at the end as well. The team is no stranger to success, obviously having won a regional the past 3 years and coming off a trip to Einstein last year. We all know the obvious boost that a trip to Einstein can give you. So many guys will be watching to see what division the Beach Bots end up in when those come out for St. Louis and see if they can make it 2 for 2 in Einstein appearances for the Beach Bots.
I forgot they went last year.
Yep.
It's a team that the Beach Bots.
They were with 2056, I think, last year, right,
Yep.
on Einstein?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Very cool. All right, moving along. Our 6th ranked team is Team 1241.
From Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rick Hansen Secondary School, it's 36, 32-3 overall winners of the North Bay Regional.
So going silver with the Kling Bling at GTR East earlier this season. 36 had their sights set on 2 different goals this past weekend at the North Bay Regional. 36 were lights out at this regional, going 12-0 through qualifications with a 42 ranking score. That's 6 out of 12 matches they breached and captured.
Wow.
Again, that shows the level of competence of robots in Canada, as well as obviously the amazing play of 1241. Second to the next best team, 1310 Runnymede Robotics, as well as 2935 and ACL Robotics. They headed to the playoffs as definite favorites. Being a tall bot has its arguable restrictions, but 1241 proves them all wrong and shows you otherwise. Taking defenses with ease, their turret lines up the high goal shots perfectly. Scoring an average of 173 points per match in the playoffs, 1241 has won their first regional since 2005. And they also took home the Regional Chairman's Award. Amazing job to those guys. Happy for all of that you've accomplished. Good luck, or just, again, congratulations getting that first regional win, which I was told, but I guess first regional win since 2005. I know that's been a long time coming. I was kind of emailing back and forth with John Hobbins this weekend, just telling him that we would be up for Waterloo, and he was at North Bay, just kind of giving me some information that 1241 was just playing lights out, and they're just dominating and just mopping the floor with the team, or with the regional. So congrats to them. Excited to see you. Are they at Waterloo this weekend? Yes, no?
No, I don't think they are.
Can't keep track of all these teams.
Oh, no, wait, hold on, maybe. Let's find
They
out.
are. So we'll see them
Yes.
this weekend.
Sorry.
Yep.
There was another Canada team that, was it Runnymede that's not going? Yeah, that's what it is. Somebody pointed out in chat, which is kind of funny too, is 36, and they were rated 6 in the expert and 6 in the community.
Oh, interesting.
Could be evil.
4 6s, though.
Consistent.
We'll say if there's 4 6s.
Oh,
All right,
that's
there-
why I posted 666 in the chat. I was like, what?
All right.
I wonder if that's a bit of a subliminal messaging there, right? Theory 6, 6, 6, 6.
6.
6 sounds great.
How's 6? 6 is good.
I like 6. All right. So into the top 5 we go in team number 148.
From Greenville, Texas. Greenville High School, it's the Robo Wranglers. 29 and only 2 losses overall. Winners at Alamo, winners at Dallas.
So I just had dinner with the Robo Wranglers, and they were really trying to get their spot moved up into from 5 a little bit higher. They just didn't have the money for it, though. But that's because it's expensive to get into the top 5. A lot of people don't know that. So the team from Greenville has something of a simple policy when it comes to regionals. They just win. You have to go all the way back to 2007 to find a year when 148 didn't win a regional, and they've already won 2 this year after adding another this past weekend in Dallas. One thing that stands out to me about this robot is just their speed. It's just fast. Its drivetrain, the catapult's amazing, the skying mechanism, they're all quick and efficient, making more cycles possible, and obviously that equates to more points in the end. The true test for this machine, we've talked about it all night, will come this weekend at the Waterloo Regional, where it will truly be a clash of the titans, as one mentor from 2056 put it. So can't wait, and good luck to 148. And Mike mentioned it earlier, but I also want to add another special congrats to Adrian Emerson on her Woody Flowers Finalist Award. She's building an incredible program down there in Texas, from VAX to FRC, and she's just so deserving of that recognition.
Sure.
So we're very excited to hang out with them this weekend. It's going to be a great time.
Are they staying on the states? Are they staying on the state side, right now? Or are they going back to Canada
No,
tonight?
they're staying in Rochester tonight.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to Niagara Falls tomorrow. And then they're going
Did they give you that sweatshirt tonight?
What's that?
Did they give you that sweatshirt tonight?
I actually stole this from my friend Colin. Nice. So as I was leaving, one of the 148 kids was like, "How much did I have to pay you to wear a 148 shirt on the show?" And I was like, "Well, normally you wouldn't have to pay me." I was like, "But I'm not going home, and that's where my shirt is." So then Colin had his hoodie just sitting on the chair. So I was like, "Oh, I'll just take Colin's." And I threw my
promotion, yeah.
I threw my 3015 hoodie, and I was like, "We'll trade back later."
There you go. Perfect. All right. To see them. Let's do it. Moving along. We heard from one of their members earlier tonight. Our fourth-ranked team is Team 16.
From Mountain Home, Arkansas. Mountain Home High School and junior high schools. I don't know how they want to say that now. I'm going to go with Mountain Home High School.
There you go.
It's the bomb. Well, it says Mountain Home High Career and Junior High Schools.
No, it's just Mountain.
Mountain Home.
Mountain Home.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's the Bomb Squad. 29-2 overall. Winners of the Arkansas Rock City and Rocket City.
I know. Isn't that not confusing? So we heard from our guest of honor about this team earlier in the show, but let's rewind our minds for a second. Remember premiere night when all of our jaws dropped when we saw Black Widow for the first time. And we saw that Swank Drive, which they originated. 2 regional wins later, we're still picking up our jaws from the floor. Coming into the Rocket City Regional this past weekend, they were coming off a 14-1 win at the Arkansas Rock City Regional, and they were looking to extend that streak. Finishing number 1 for the second event in a row, they went 9-1 and had a 3.6 ranking point per match average. They selected 118 the Robotics and 3490 to join their alliance. Again, check out these scores from the eliminations: 209, 194, 214, 198, 187, and 191. Bomb Squad just glides all around the field, evading even the best defense, scoring high in the goal and on the tower at the end of the match. Congrats to one of our favorite teams. Excited to check out and dive into the Robot Championship this year. Talk with Meredith and John and JT and Brandon and everybody on their team. Just great. Another amazing robot that they put out, and congratulations, guys.
And just to say too, they do have the world high score at 214. I believe they got at Rocket City.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, a trip to Einstein certainly gives you a little bit of clout. But if we go back to 2012, I know there's some sore feelings about Einstein in 2012. But if you look at the teams, some of the teams that are there that we've talked about already: 118, 16. 25, 233, 987, 1114, 4334, 2056. You know, ball shooting game 2012, ball shooting game this year. It seems like a lot of these kind of usual suspect teams, it could end up being quite a few repeats from 2012 on the Einstein field this year. And 16, I think, is really kind of most kind of proven now they've played a few times, won twice, that really looks to be headed back there. And just like you said, that their drive training is just such an advantage for them this year. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Closing
in here.
Into the top 3 with 1678.
From Davis, California, Davis Senior High School, it's the Citrus Circuits, 27-1-2. Overall winners at CVR and winners at Sacramento.
So last week, Mike and I agreed the best way in a single sentence to describe what makes a team a powerhouse is that you're surprised when they don't win an event. This is a team I had in mind when we were kind of discussing this, is they're a new powerhouse, but you're just shocked when they don't win. The defending champions of the world have only lost 1 match this season, much less an event, and look to be in prime potential to pull off back-to-back world championships. Not to get too far ahead, of course, they still have 1 more regional to attend this season's at Silicon Valley next weekend, and then on to St. Louis. So good luck to 1670, and a huge congrats to their lead mentor, Michael Corsetto, on his incredibly well-deserved and long overdue Woody Flowers Finalist Award. He's a great guy, just so passionate about not only his program, but FIRST Robotics in general, and just an awesome all-around guy.
What a year for him. I mean, back-to-back Einstein appearances, winners of championship event last year, gets married in the past couple months, gets back into it, 2 regional wins, Woody Flower Finalist Award.
He's living life, man.
What are you laughing about?
What does Dwight say? Called Perfectenschlag. That's what the Schrutes call it when everything in a man's life is just absolute Perfectenschlag. Michael Corsetto is living Perfectenschlag right now.
There you go. I don't know. Is that from, where is it? Do you know what episode that's from?
We'll find it right now.
No. We'll have to get Corsetto back on the show another time, too. We had him on one of our pilots earlier this year, and definitely got to get him back on.
We're watching it right here.
Perfectenschlag.
Sorry, it's probably awkward for everybody else who will watch.
Share the love, man. Come on.
Show.
It probably could.
All right, so we'll pause right here as we
Station
normally do.
identification.
Yeah, for station identification, 10 seconds. But no, and see all the dramas in the 2 spot. Some people like to check out after the number 2 as number 1 becomes a little more obvious. So we usually pause here and just thank everyone for watching tonight. We actually had a great number of viewers tonight.
We've been hovering around 148.
Yeah.
A lot.
Ooh.
I don't know if that means anything.
And as high as 160. So
Yeah.
we thank you all certainly for watching and everyone who voted this week and our experts for voting. Nick and Tower for putting in work.
Absolutely.
They do so much work, believe me.
Yeah, they do.
I'm getting this show ready, so thanks to them, and we're really excited to have another great show here.
I love it. I love doing this with you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't voted, either you don't vote, we really encourage you to. FRCtop25.com/vote. Again, that opens up on Sunday nights. So if you're not a regular voter, we really encourage you to do that. And if you don't like where teams are in the rankings and you're not voting, then that's one way to change.
And our website is fixed, guys, too, just so you know. We did have a couple issues earlier this week. Thank you to those who pointed it out. We did get that all fixed up for you guys.
I think it's all fixed. Google still hasn't cleared us, but I do think it is all fixed.
There we go.
All right, ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it. So our second ranked team is team 971.
From Mountain View, California, Mountain View High School at Spartan Robotics, 13-1 overall winners of the Sacramento Regional.
So going regional winless in the 2015 season, Spartan Robotics looked to take gold once again in the Sacramento Regional, like they last did in 2014, where they won it with 1678. More on that later. So in my personal opinion, 971 is my new favorite robot in the Stronghold field. With transformer-like movements, they unfold themselves when crossing defenses, lining up their shot. When they unfold up, they have their shooter is much higher, making them able to shoot over some cheesecake and stuff like that, and definitely makes their shot more linear. They also have some really good velocity on their on their shot as well. They line up at the better at the end for the capture as well. So 971 finished first with the 27 ranking score and just about 90 more goal points in the next closest team. They selected 1678 and 5274, and they just won mightily in the playoffs in 6 matches, never scoring lower than 155, but as high as 205. So amazing robot, guys. Good luck next week in SVR. For those that maybe not have seen much of the robot, I mean, we were busy this weekend, so I didn't get to see much live action, but I did take a look at a couple matches later, and I just love the design of the robot. I love how well it performs, and it is just awesome. So
yeah, again, if you haven't seen the reveal video yet, it's a transformer is what it looks like. It's absolutely crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah,
it really is awesome.
It's just awesome. I love it. So congrats to them. Congrats on winning the Sacramento Regional again. Good luck at Silicon Valley coming up next weekend. Very cool.
Ready to finish this off?
Let's do it.
28-26. All right. Oops. No, never mind.
Next week. So, week 4, FRC Top 25, we have in the number 1 spot, Team 118.
From League City, Texas, Clear Creek High School, it's the Robotics, 29-4, winners at GTR East and winners at Rocket City.
So happy to see 118 here because I know there's plenty out there who don't want or who want us to avoid the 118 hype, kidding of course. But I do think that 118 is approaching a different level. The engineering that goes into their robots just seem better than a lot of other teams out there who the world or the community kind of believes is on their level. I'm not saying to say those other teams aren't winning events and or even building worse robots. I'm just really talking about the engineering efficiency that 118 seems to have right now. The grappling hook design is crazy. The catapult is unblockable. They can tackle any defense with ease, and the robot is just beautiful overall. I think they're the class of the field this week and definitely deserve to have the top spot. So do you have any thoughts on 118?
So I was watching a couple of their matches, and I know they shoot mostly from the batter, but kind of seeing when there's some good defense in the way just doesn't even phase them back up to the outer works. Same, obviously the same catapult, but just knock it right in and just keep going. They're just confident what they do. They don't take any extra time at the defenses. They just go right over. They do the chili fries really well and stuff like that. And it's just, again, another amazing robot by 118. And it's nice to see kind of their grappling hook work a little bit better than at GTR. So Tyler, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give you two things. One, if we talk about this year's robot with them, the one thing people are like, oh, they only shoot from batter. And just like you said, Mike, they shoot from batter because they can get away with it forever. They definitely have it in their pocket that they can shoot from a further distance out there. And I think they're going to go with what works. And I'm sure between events, as they keep moving on forward, they're going to probably evolve that shot. But, I mean, if they do as good as they are right now, shooting from the batter, even with tough defense, I think they have a pretty good strategy and good game moving forward with that. Last year, obviously in 2026, we had an opportunity to play against them in the Einstein Finals, and then we also played with them at IRI. And you were talking about just the ethos that goes into a team, and 118, you know they have it down. I mean, it's not just a gorgeous facility or something like that. The team structure itself is very, very solid. Their strategy that goes in the match play, they know what they're doing, and they spend time to do it, and they take the time, and they get a lot of dividends out of doing that. So a team like that is something you just have to look towards, and either your jaw can drop, or like what we do, we say, how can we be more like that? And as we as a team, as we evolve and go through the roller coasters that every team does, we look at teams like 118 or Citrus Circuits, who are, both back-to-back, or they're not back-to-back, but they could be back-to-back world champions, but coming off as world champions, how they're still playing at the high level, and what difficulty that is to do that right away with all that pressure going on. It's really inspiring to see, and 118 is definitely the crown jewel of that.
Yeah. One thing I always kind of noticed about these powerhouse teams is that they're always one step ahead, I feel like, of everybody else. That they have things in their back pockets that you will never see, you will never hear about until the time comes. That they're always at one step ahead, that they're already planning for how the game is changing. They're already preparing for it. And then you may never know how the next evolution of this game is being played until you're behind the glass and you're facing them, because they've introduced something else. We've seen that, multiple years out of multiple teams. I know 11-14 always has kind of something that they always bring out, or something you never thought of, or just these things always come out, and it's just always cool to, it kind of mentally gets you trying to think ahead as well, and trying to get into that mindset.
So I also want to just mention, and it goes a little bit about what Tower said about, you can kind of, when you look at a robot like that, you can kind of take it one or two ways. One way to look at it, and I see it a little bit in the chat, is, kind of like, oh, there's that classic NASA team. Those NASA engineers just built the robots. It's just, I mean, for no other way to put it, you just kind of look ignorant when you talk like that. Those of us that have been around a long time know that the students on these teams are as incredible as the mentors that help them.
Absolutely.
So it's silly to write them off as, oh, that's just a mentor-built robot, Try to, like Tower said, how do you be more like them? I assure you, they are not mentor built. They have incredible students working on the design and building of that robot. Yeah. And if you just resign it to, it must be mentor built, we can never do that, then you're absolutely right. You won't be able to do it. So there's two ways to look at it, and I encourage everyone out there to spend some time with these powerhouse teams that, some people really just try to write off as mentor built, because you'll find out real quick that they're not mentor built.
Wow. And as I love going to championship and walking into 118, 234, 11, 14, 26, the first people that come up to us are students. And they're not like reading from a card. It's not like, here's what we did, and we tried this, and this gear ratio. And it's like, no, like you can see the passion in their eyes. You can see that, no, this is the kid that worked on this part, and he's taking full ownership for this. And not saying the mentors were off cooking hot dogs and corn dogs in the corner, but they were right there with them and working together. And there's nothing wrong. Like, this is a discussion probably for a soapbox for another day. But I think you're doing it wrong if it's an all student built robot, and I think you're doing it wrong if it's an all mentor built robot, which these are not as well.
It's gotta be
100% agree.
They're a team, right?
Yeah.
I consider students on our team teammates, just like I'm part of that team as well.
Yeah.
And to what you said, I know specifically we've had conversations with students on 11-14 specifically, where we've talked to the kids that designed, that particular mechanism, and they'll tell you the first 3 revisions that we did on this part, the first 3 attempts I made to design this part sucked, and because their students are working harder than most other teams, and that's what makes these teams so good. So, moral of the story is learn from these teams. Don't just write them off like so many people try to do.
And Mike, you're right. We should talk about this another time too. I think that's a great soapbox.
I feel like it just comes up every year.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, congrats to 118. That's what it kind of boils down to.
Congrats to 118 and all the teams that made the top 25. We'll have that posted hopefully on our website shortly, and we'll have it on Cheap Delphi and our Facebook pages. But chat world, all we ask, thank you everybody who's watching our show live and those watching the show offline. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is because of you, the audience, that we're able to continue doing this show. You're the ones who inspire us and make us passionate about what we're doing. So if you like the show, go out and just tell somebody about it, regardless if you subscribe through us or if you just post on your social media site. We appreciate every single one of you, and thank you so much for helping us make First Allowed. Huge thank you to all of our mods in chat and all of our contributors helping out, both in chat, posting on Cheat Delphi for us. A huge thank you to you and to our expert panelists as well. If you did enjoy the show, please give us some feedback. We'd love to have you stick around in our unfiltered post show, or unfiltered as we call it. Our email address is firstupdatesnow@gmail.com, and our website is firstupdatesnow.com. You can catch fun shows live weekly on Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, like Mike said, cast your vote for the FRC Top 25 Weekly. Polls opening on Sunday in the evening and closing by Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Week 5 is ahead. We're going to cover it all. Can't wait for it. Good luck to all teams, and we will see you next time on Fun Recap. Good night, everybody.
Guys, take care.
Good night.
This has been a First Updates Now production. Visit us at firstupdatesnow.com or find us under First Updates Now on Facebook or Twitter.